How is it going, flockers? Welcome back to another episode of Between Two Cars. Today, I asked you guys, what are some more telltale signs, some dead giveaways that somebody is a fake car guy, a poser, a ricer, whatever you want to call them. What are some dead giveaways? If you guys want to be a part in these polls, follow me on Instagram. Most of you probably do already because I don't know how you found this page. If not, if you found this page just on your own free will, welcome. But anyways, let's go ahead and dive right in. All right, let me open this up real quick. Sorry, I'm a little new. I just posted a picture too also. Anyways, first one says, from Hollow M2, if they're not subscribed to Drew Peacock's YouTube channel. Now that's a good one. That one, that'd be a dead giveaway. So apparently there's only 700,000 real car guys in the world because there's only 700,000 people subscribed to my main channel. So that's a good one. Thank you, Hollow M2. But GT3 RS Glaze. This is from Sammy E46. I would agree. The GT3 RS I think is a great car, and we've talked about it many times on this channel and on the main channel. But the glaze for that car is crazy. 100% deserving of respect. 100% an engineering marvel. However, people glaze it unnecessarily over the top. Like there are some cars that deserve glaze, but how does a GT3 RS have more glaze on its face than like a Pagani, a Koenigsegg? You never hear people talk about those, and those are multi-million-dollar cars with crazier attributions, crazier statistics, crazier specs. Yes, they're millions of dollars, but in the realm of most people, me included, we can't afford either. So what's with the glaze of the GT3 RS? Like, it's cool, but I think people, the thing with Porsche was, I want to say about 3 years ago, Porsche was like an underrated sleeper brand in my opinion. Now, obviously, there are some hardcore enthusiasts. My boy Eric has been a Porsche enthusiast since I've ever known him, and even way before that. I think his first car was like a 1986 Porsche 911. Anyways, point is, what I'm saying, it became trendy to like Porsche because it was like, oh, you know about Porsche, you know about them, oh, it was like the easy, like, look at me, guys, I'm intelligent, I know that Porsches, I would rather spend 300K on that Porsche than that Huracan Performante over there. And it was like that sleeper, wanna be cool, you know car guy thing. And now everybody in TikTok, everybody blew it out of proportion. It's literally what I said. In one of my videos, someone could probably find the clip, I said the GT3 RS is going to become the new Mark IV Supra. Just way more unobtainable in my opinion. But the GT3 RS, every 12-year-old TikTok kid fucking glazes it, and now it's not cool. So it was a cool car, and now it's not cool because every 12-year-old glazes it. The Turbinator. When they drive a Mark IV Supra, an SN197 Mustang, or a C6 ZR1. See, the funny thing is with that, obviously he was trying to, say me. The funny thing with that is his dumbass said SN197. This is an S197. There is no such thing as an SN197. Fake car guy exposed. For me, it's when they tell me how fast they've gone. Example, I hit 120 on the highway. This is something... Oh my God, when Snapchat was super popular and they had, you youngins don't know nothing about this, they used to have a filter that would tell you your speed. And it was cool because like you could post a picture of you driving on the highway and you could swipe to the filter and it would say 80 miles an hour, 90 miles an hour. And it was so funny watching back then, like slow ass high schoolers. This is back when I just graduated. So, we're talking 17, 18-year-olds. Those are the type of people, obviously, I followed back then, because they were all my friends. It was so funny seeing them post, like, highway poles in, like, their FRS, and you just see that thing just... And it's just slowly climbing from, like, 60 to 90. Or they'll post a picture of them cruising at, like, 92, and they're, like, they put, like, the sunglass emoji, and they're, like, fucking cruising, we're making good time, like... Yeah, that's a pretty good one. When they like flex that they've like gone fast on a highway, like that's just an average Tuesday for us real folk, Let's see. I'm trying not to read the same ones that we've seen in the last video. Constantly speeding and cutting up in traffic. I fucking hate this, and I have an example to tell. The other night, I was trying to be a good boyfriend, so I ran out and got my girlfriend some donuts, and I had to drive good 20 miles or whatever to the special donut spot that she likes. Maybe not 20, but 15 miles. I had to drive from here towards the beach, okay? Anyways, on the way there was a Q50 riding my ass, and we were going from one freeway to the other. So we were on the interchange, he was behind me, he was riding my ass. I saw his Infinity emblem illuminated, so I knew it was somebody that had to have modded their car, because most people, most NPCs aren't going to put an illuminated Infinity logo with aftermarket headlights on their Q50. So I was like, okay, we got a potential car guy here. Could be modded, whatever, let's go ahead and see. So when the freeway opens up, I get over a couple lanes, and he does a ricer flyby past me and starts cutting up. Now, the freeway is pretty empty. It's like 11 at night at this time. And so I'm like, you know what? I'll give him a light chase, and I'll just chase him down. And when I get next to him, because he doesn't know how to fucking line up because he's an idiot, I'm just going to keep going, like whatever. Like, I'll just do a little baby ricer flyby, but like I'll pull up on him, slow down, and then just keep going, Like that way at least he can see like, hey buddy, I don't even have to fucking try. I don't even think I got out of fourth gear. Like, anyways, so I fly up towards him, get next to him, do my little thing, hit the hazards on him, laugh at him, and then he exits the freeway and fucks off. But yeah, I hate when people, especially in wannabe car enthusiast cars, like a Q50 is a cool car in my opinion. It has potential. Is it the best thing ever? Would I buy one? Maybe not, but it's a sports car. Whether you like it or not, it's a luxury sports sedan. That being said, cutting up and weaving through traffic and shit like that, that's not cool. If you want to show off and show how fast your car is, you could do a little ricer pull, whatever. You could do a little pull, that's fine. If you want to line up and race, that's even better. Especially on a night where there's no one on the freeway or little people on the freeway. We had all the opportunity, we could have lined up. Now, if he knows anything about cars, unlikely, then he would have known that he stood no chance, but cutting up is just dumb. Real car guys don't think cutting up is cool. That shit's corny as hell. So yeah. Tells blatant lies about mods, performance, clout chasers. Hollow M2, thank you. Are you submitting multiple? You are. Hollow M2. Yes, this is another story. My buddy Chris Supermarket just told me 2 days ago when we were talking about my Supra. He showed me a picture of a GTR that pulled up on him at his, I think he stores his Supra still at the naval base or whatever. Anyways, long story short, guy pulled up in an R32, some kid, and was like, oh, sick Supra, bro. Oh yeah, I got a modded R32, showing him the build. The guy told the most blatant lies. He said it runs 800 horsepower, 32 PSI on 91 octane. If you know anything about cars, you would blow up your motor. You cannot run that much boost on 91 octane. You cannot. You're cooked. So, yeah, 800 horsepower, 91 octane on a fully built R30. No, not happening. So he was like, dude, I've never been bullshitted so much in my life. And yeah, I mean, it's true. I mean, some guys, most car guys that I talk to at car meets, they don't bullshit me. They usually, if they are going to bullshit me, they'll say oh, I plan on doing this in the future, when we all know they don't. Like they have dreams of doing it, but they're not going to do it. Like I have a dream of making this over 1,000 horsepower. To do that, I need more fuel and I need a smaller pulley or more boost. However, I want to change that combination, right? I could do it, but at the same time, I'm keeping it honest with you guys and saying, I don't know if I want to, because it's already fast enough and I already don't hook. So yeah, bullshitting, blatantly lying, it's pretty obvious. Nate Ryder's Garage says, thinks wheels are called rims. I don't know if we covered this in the first one. It sounds familiar, I want to say, but yeah, yes and no. I don't know. I mean, I've jumped over the fence multiple times on it, and the way most car guys explain it is the wheel on its own, the metal on its own. Let's just talk about the metal for a second. The metal is called the rim, okay? That's the rim. The metal and tire, so rim plus tire equals wheel. So if they say nice wheels, then they're theoretically talking about your tire and your rim. See what I'm saying? So, but if someone says, oh, I like your rims, then they could be just talking about the centerpiece. You see what I'm saying? It's a yes and a no in my book. you understand what they're saying. It's like saying NOS, for nitrous. Oh yeah, I'm running NOS. Like NOS is a brand, like it's a company. It's like saying ProCharger. Oh, it's ProCharged. Is it actually ProCharged or does it have a Vortec? Like is it ESS or is it a ProCharge? You see what I'm saying? A lot of I don't want to say uneducated. A lot of newer car guys might not understand anything I just said, but yeah. I personally don't care if someone says, I mean, it's a little cringy, I think, if like a grown-ass man is like, oh, you swap the rims? Like, I don't know. But it's also like culture and stuff like that too. It's different cultures will just call them rims. So, but yeah, I do think if someone is saying rims and they are talking about the whole wheel, then like, oh, I like your rim. I don't know. It's weird. You see what I'm saying? I don't know. Because they're technically not wrong, Like, typically people aren't complimenting your tires. Like, they do for this bad boy right here. You see this? Ooh. Ooh, you see that? Yeah, they compliment that. But typically they're complimenting your fucking rims. So, yes and no. I do understand what you're saying, though, Nate. eBay wide body kits, yeah, whatever. Unironically up badging, true. We've talked about that a million times. I don't want to beat that dead horse because that horse is dead as hell. They drive a car, yes. I put a stage 2 chip in my car. Oh, the good old days, man. The good old days. It's slow if it's under 1,000 horsepower. I have talked about this one before, but I feel like I just need to keep hammering down on it because a lot of people don't understand horsepower. So, although I'll make it quick, if your car makes 500 horsepower, it's a fast car. I don't really care what car you're in unless it's like a literal boat. 500 horsepower is more than enough for a street car. Some people will claim it's not enough. Sure, you'll get used to it and it won't feel like enough, but 500 horsepower is plenty fast. 700 horsepower is like upper echelon of like street car. I think above 700 horsepower, you start to lose that street car drivability. It could still be a street car. Like I could make this 1,000 horsepower and it'll look bone stock. But the drivability aspect goes down significantly with more power. Now turbos are a good way to cheat that because you can do boost by gear and all that stuff. But let's just talk about generally speaking. If you're pushing 1,000 horsepower, a lot of stuff is swapped out. You're losing a lot of comfort amenities, and at the same time, your reliability and just daily drivability is usually not the best. Some cars can do it better than others, 100% agree, but yeah, I like to say I think 500 to 700 is like a comfortable, daily drivable ground. Above that is just kind of absurd. They have ESR wheels and claim they have real wheels. So this is a new one. I haven't heard this one before. I don't know of anyone that has ESRs that claim real wheels. I mean, I have ESRs, but this is a one-of-one ESR drag radial, drag beadlock. Like you cannot get this. You cannot. They didn't buy this off the shelf. They cut this. I picked out the design, and they cut it using blanks from a very reputable three-piece wheel company. So yeah, I mean I would consider these real wheels because they're one of one. But if you buy like off the shelf ESR wheels, like I wouldn't. Okay, so the thing is with what makes a wheel real? Like does it have to be Japan to be a real wheel? BBSs aren't from Japan. A lot of people say, oh, you don't even got Japanese wheels or whatever. It depends on the car, I guess, too. But a lot of ESR's designs, not all of them, they obviously do have rep designs. I'm not paid by them, so I could say this. They do have designs that are straight up rip-offs of other wheels, obviously. But I've spoke with them, and those are some of their best-selling wheels. So let's go ahead and say you own a company, right? And let's go ahead and say you have wheels that you designed and that you sell, and they're your own design. And then you have wheels that look like other wheels that are cheaper and more available for most people, and those sell better. Are you going to chop off the limb that is selling better, or are you going to keep selling them? I understand why they sell their rep wheels. I understand it. Whether you like it or not, rep wheels will always be a thing. There's rep everything. You can buy rep OEM wheels, You could buy rep motorcycle helmets. You can buy rep whatever you want. They make them. There's fakes of everything. But I don't know of anyone that's ever had ESRs that claim real wheels, you know? Like, I just think that they just think that they're ESRs. And if you have ESR 3-piece wheels, they're 3-piece wheels, you know? They have blanks that they cut here in SoCal, made in America. I don't know what else to tell you. I've seen them do it. I've seen them do it. They cut the wheels here. So I don't know what to tell you about that, you know? But yes, they're monoblock wheels. They're not from here. They're overseas, just like every other company. So it is what it is. 500 horsepower is slow. We already talked about that. It is not. So I agree with you. Up badging says their Honda has a V4. Guys, there is no such thing. Well, rarely a V4 in a car. They have V4 motorcycles and stuff like that. Aprilia RSV4s are V4 motorcycles. But for cars, typically it's an inline 4. I actually don't know of any modern day car with a V4. So, yeah. That one's very popular. Everyone's saying V4. Oh, this is a good one. They even put the little nerdy glasses. This is from You Really Thought N-Word. I can't say the last one, but anyways. Downpipe and a tune with nerdy glasses. I wouldn't say you're a fake car guy if you did downpipe and a tune, but it is a very, very like entry-level kind of understanding of cars, especially for that platform. I mean, it's the same thing with like, you know, you could say the same thing with like every platform to an extent. Like there are some entry-level things that you have to know when buying them. But yeah, downpipe and a tune is the most cookie-cutter build out there. Like, it works. It's a tested and proven, you know, mod that you could do, I guess. But yeah, it's like, if you're over here saying you got a built car and you have a downpipe and a tune, like, you're on your way there, buddy. But yeah, I don't know about all that. Not knowing maintenance intervals. This is important. Zachary Hunter, 14. Maintenance, I think, is one of the most important things. And a lot of people, some of my close friends, don't do it that well. Here's an example. If you run E85, it is very, 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 very recommended to clean your injectors bi-yearly or bi-yearly? Is that every other? Twice a year. I think every 6 months or to a year, depending on what kind of E you're running, how much mileage, and you know, if you have a flex sensor and you're running flex as well. It all depends. But typically, you want to clean your fuel system if you're running E85 frequently. My boy Alex begs to differ, and he just sends it and just keeps it going. Now, I don't clean mine as often as I probably should, but I've also rarely had issues, especially on this car. This car's been on E85 for, damn, a while. I don't know, 5 years maybe? 4 years? Maybe 3 years? It's been a while. It's got to be at least 4 years. Anyways, I've cleaned my filter before, I think like once, and I've cleaned my injectors a couple times. And I've never had any issues. I've never ever had them say my injectors were clogged, but it is good practice to clean your stuff regularly, especially on E85. Now, as for normal cars and normal maintenance, yeah, you should every once in a while, you should look at your book, your maintenance book, and see, hey, when should I flush my fluids? When should I do this? When should I do that? When should I change this filter? When should I do that? It's good practice. I think I didn't have any issues with the McLaren, any major issues, because I was on top of my shit. I did regular oil changes, and I did regular trans and diff changes and clutch changes and stuff like that. So, yeah, do your maintenance. It's very important. Your car will last a lot longer. Trust me. Go get your book. Someone else said rims instead of wheels. Only talking about horsepower. There's this guy. I don't know his name. There's this podcast, and I always see the TikTok clips of it, and he's always like, why would you choose that car over this car? That car has less horsepower. Horsepower literally isn't everything, and my McLaren is a good example of that. Now, it did make good horsepower, and same with this car. This is a good example of it too. I'm standing next to a 1,000 horsepower car, crank, and a 700 horsepower car, crank. Okay, so we have a 300 horsepower difference here. This car is way more fun to drive. Way more fun to drive. 10 times more fun to drive. Because in this car, I can utilize first gear. I can get a little squirrely. I can get on it on the street. I can make some noise, I can hook and book, I can corner, I can do a lot of shit. In this car, I can be loud and go fast in a straight line. And I need a lot of straight line to go fast. You see my point? Horsepower isn't everything. This car, the McLaren, hell, even my little Honda, it's not everything. So, good horsepower, like a good power to weight ratio is nice, but this car was so much more fun as like a 700 horsepower car. It would still win races. It would still lose races. It still does that now. You know, it's not the fastest thing ever, but it was fun and it was streetable. Now it's not. First mod is rap. Ooh, this is a good one from the B Mexican. I'm guessing that's what it says. MX I can. Anyways, first mod is rap. That is one thing I've strongly point people away from. I would not wrap your vehicle until you have your wheels, your suspension, your aftermarket body parts. I would not wrap your car until you have all of that, if you are going to wrap your car. I don't think I'll ever wrap this car. If I do, it'll be strictly to protect the paint, but I would rather just PPF it, you know, whether I learn how to do it myself or I pay somebody. I really love this paint. I really love this color. I love how it looks in the light. I don't even think if I got a wrap that was this color, it would look the same. So I love it. And it is the fucking Blue Devil. So it is going to stay that way. But when I see a car on stock wheels, stock suspension, stock exhaust, stock body, and it's wrapped, you know they're an NPC. You just know it. You just can tell they're an NPC. I would not wrap until it is like towards the last thing on your list. It's good to wrap because it can protect your paint and it can change the look of your car and all that stuff. But don't let that be the first thing you do. That is an expensive thing typically to just waste money on. Most wrap shops, you're looking at $2,000 to $4,000 typically. Yeah, there's shops that claim they could do it for less, but typically you're going to pay a pretty penny for a good wrap job. So don't do it first. Do it last. My car is more expensive than yours, so it's blank. So it's better, it's faster. I'm sure that's what he meant. That's from coolclips.i. I agree. A lot of people... Once again, this is just a great example. This car can be used for so many examples. When I got this car over the McLaren, when I sold the McLaren, well, I bought this car first. So I had two for small window. But when I bought this car and I replaced the McLaren with this, a lot of people were like, you're crazy. You're absolutely crazy. You went from a McLaren to a Corvette. You went from a 2012 supercar to a 2009 Corvette. And the dead honest truth is this car has been way more fun to drive. This car is it just feels more like me, if that makes sense. I like American cars. I like American muscle. I like V8s. I like superchargers. I like LSs. Even though I'm a Mustang guy, I love myself a good LS, you know, especially once they chop, which is hopefully down the line for this. That being said, this car it just feels more like my own car, you know? Like, I like this car more. I like how I look driving this car more. When I drove the McLaren, I felt like a snob. I felt like a douchebag, you know? And that was, like I said, the biggest problem that I had with that car was I just didn't like how it felt driving it. And so, yeah, like, it'd be cool, you know, to eventually get, like, a Lambo or something, sure. But I like this car, you know? So just because the car is more expensive, and even then, the McLaren MP412C is not much more expensive than these. You can find these for more expensive than those. So just because the car is more expensive does not mean it's better by any stretch of the imagination. So ultimately, drive what you want. Windshield banner with stock ride height. Oh my God, thank God somebody said it. That is such a good observation. If you have a windshield banner and you're cruising around on stock ride height, especially with stock wheels, take that shit off. You are the most wannabe trying to fit in motherfucker out there. Please take that shit off. That shit does not look hard. Owns a G35. That's funny. They can't accept that their grocery getter ain't a performance car or that they have a fake tow hook. That's a good one. I mean, that's just like NPC things. Like, I hate to be that guy, but somebody has to say it. All of these NPC car pages, nobody likes them. Like, maybe other NPC car pages, sure, but ultimately they want to be the guy with the better car, you know? Like, nobody wakes up and says, you know what, I want to own a '09 Ford Fusion and drive that and mod it. Nobody really says that. oh, I want to mod my 2002 Chevy Malibu. Nobody says that. They have a dream car, they have a goal, but they're settling, and I'm just being blatantly honest. They're settling and they're wasting money in their current car to try to fit in when they should milk their current car, use it as a daily driver, and save up for what they want. It's my own personal opinion, Sometimes a grocery getter should just be a grocery getter. I got a downpipe and a tune. I could beat your GT500 easily. Yeah, downpipes and a tune aren't invincible. You know what I'm saying? God, these are so good. These are all so good. You guys are the best, honestly. My car can go 180 because it has 180 on the dash. Oh, that is so lovely. That is from, I can't even say that, geox.gabriel. It's probably French or something. It looks French. Anyways, that is comical. What does this car have on the dash? I think it has 220. This car has 220 on the dash. It cannot go 220 from factory. It might be able to go 220 now with a little bit of extra horsepower, but it cannot go 220 from factory. This car has, I think this car has like 140 on the dash because it was just a GT. It wasn't anything special. Let me see. Sorry, I have a gauge blocking it. Can I even see this shit? Yeah. My Mustang goes to 140, and I've already been probably 50 miles over that, So, yeah, the dash doesn't mean jack shit, buddy. Dash don't mean jack shit. Most cars, especially if someone says a comment like that, their car isn't modified. Most of them have governors, so you could top out at like 110, maybe 120, but you ain't going faster than that. So, I remember the first time I went 100, I felt so thrilled and cool, and then you buy an R1 and you just cruise at 100 because it just feels comfortable at that speed. Saying a supercharger is a turbo, yeah, I guess. You know what? Piggybacking off of that, saying they have a boosted car when their car came factory boosted, and I'm talking like Civic Si, or like WRX, oh, boost weather, this is boosted, boys, we're boosted, and it's like they're in a stock tuned car. It's like, I guess, acting like a cold air intake is an upgrade. It can be, but acting like a cold air intake does anything more than 5 horsepower is crazy. And even then, 5 horsepower is generous. Most cold air intakes don't do a whole lot. Let me explain. Once again, we'll use this as an example. This cold air intake, I do think helped out because the factory one was more restrictive. So I guess it goes from car to car basis. But they also sell, Kong has a cold air intake for this car that claims 40 horsepower. Something like that. Don't quote me, I might be wrong. But I believe it's like 40 horsepower. For an intake to add 40 horsepower, something's got to be fishy, right? Something's got to be up with that. Well, it's because it's a larger intake. It requires a larger throttle body. So if you pair it with a larger throttle body and snout for this car, yes, but it's also a boosted application. So it is easier to get horsepower squeezed out of a boosted application than a naturally aspirated application. So, if you threw intakes, here's a good example. Steeda has cold air intakes for the S650, and I was looking at them, and I was thinking to myself, oh, that would be a cool thing to do. They're like $600 though for their kit. And I looked at it and they said I think it increases 15 or 20 horsepower. And I was like, wow, that's really good. But it's not peak horsepower. Peak horsepower only increased by 4 or 5. So, getting 20 horsepower somewhere in the power band is nice, but it's not peak horsepower. So it'll help, but yeah, cold air intake can be an upgrade, but it's not a great one. Just depends on the application. Mine is automatic, but I can drive it like it's a manual. Oh my God, from beans one in my soup. Wow, that is a good one. Yeah, people, oh my God. Alma has an S650. It's a 10-speed auto, and it is boring, I'm not going to lie. I've said it before. It's a boring car because of the 10-speed. She should have gotten a manual. I convinced her not to. I'm at fault for that. 100% not her fault. She should have got a manual. That being said, if she boosts her car, she will like it. And she does want to boost it. So she'll like it down the line. I know she will. But saying you drive an automatic like a manual is like the cringiest thing you can do. A lot of, I feel like 350Z owners and or just Z owners in general, Nissan guys, they always do that, and they always claim that they drive it like that. Oh, it's so corny. That's bad. Yeah, that's bad. I can tell you, even in the most fun automatic, it is not as engaging as a manual. And I'm not trying to be like corny, you know, oh, manuals are better stuff, because no, they're not, you know, like you're faster around a track in an automatic, but we're not on a track. Just driving, it's way more fun to be shifting gears yourself. Would I rather drive my manual ZR1 or my automatic McLaren? Probably the ZR1, but you know, it is what it is. Muffler delete with intakes. Yeah, just guys, don't do muffler deletes anymore. Most cars sound horrible without mufflers. Mufflers, they like, noise isn't good. You don't want excessive noise. You want tasteful noise. So just being the loudest, most obnoxious person at the car meet isn't cool, especially when it sounds like shit. Most cars do sound horrible without mufflers. Like, I could take the mufflers off this thing, and it would probably be the loudest thing on the face of the earth. I'm not going to do that, though, because I enjoy having ears. So, muffler delete with intakes is pretty bad. Let me see. Fortnite stickers, V6 muscle cars, Not appreciating underrated car trim. So this was actually a thing I was going to make. I was going to make a video, another rant, talking about like ways to tell of a real car person. And I was going to say like, oh, if they understand like certain trims, like the ZR1 is a great example. Dude, this car's just a great example for everything. I could bust a nut on it right now. Anyways, the ZR1's a great example for this, because to most people it just looks like a blue Corvette. It doesn't look special, you know. It doesn't look cool. It doesn't look noticeably better than any other Corvette. You know, to us car guys, we understand the subtle things like the wide body, the vents, the carbon, the supercharger. We understand that, but that's one thing that I love about this car. When somebody compliments it and they're like, oh, bro, 6ZR1, you know they know something, right? Like, they ain't just saying 6ZR1 or sick Corvette or whatever. Like what the McLaren people would say, oh, sick exotic, bro, sick supercar, oh, badass car, bro. But they didn't honestly know what they were looking at. Shit, I wouldn't have known what it was if I didn't own it. You know, it's a fucking MP412C. Who the fuck knows what that is? You get what I'm saying? But if somebody says 6ZR1, then you know. They know something, you know? So, but that also depends on what their interests are, you know? Like, I don't know every special Audi. I don't know every special BMW. I don't know all that shit. I don't know, you know? So, like, to me, an M4 and an M4 comp, it's like the same thing in my opinion. Like, I'm assuming the competition has like maybe slightly better seats and slightly better brakes or slightly better suspension or wheels or whatever. I'm assuming that, but I don't know. But if somebody says 6ZR1, I know they know, you know? You know. Thinks a Hellcat is faster than anything. Okay, well, yes. There's a guy, he's an old head in Huntington Beach. If you're from SoCal, you know where that's at. He has a Corvette. He has a C8, and he bought it when it first came out. And my boy Eric told me the story. Eric rides down there all the time on his Aprilia, the liter bike, you know, 200 horsepower liter bike. And the old head Corvette guy was saying how his C8 would destroy Eric's bike. And Eric said, no, that's just not even possible. And then the guy was like, well, how much power does your bike make? And Eric said, makes like 200. And then the guy was like, oh, well, my car makes 500, so it's faster. No. So it goes for any car. I think people buy these higher end cars and just assume that they're just the fastest thing. Maybe because it's the newest model, you know, like when the C8 came out, it was the newest Corvette. So old heads probably thought, well, nothing can touch me. Nothing could touch me, Jim Bob. Nothing could touch me. When in reality, everything in their mama could touch you, you know? So, yeah, that doesn't apply just for Hellcats. It applies for anything. But yeah, Hellcats are a good one for that. I feel like I've been ranting for a while. What are we at here, guys? What are we at here? 35? Wow. Wow, I feel like I could keep going. Maybe we'll do a part 2. Maybe we will do a part 2. We'll do one more right here, because I honestly could go more. Thinks STIs are reliable. Big ass diffuser. Someone said if they support Biden. All right. Yeah, let's find one more good one. Having no idea what is done to his car. Oh, this one hit close to home. I have a buddy. I don't know if he watches my videos, but he has a Corvette. And I won't say his name, but, you know, we've asked him what's done to the car. And he's like, well, the last owner didn't lie. It has this done to it, it has this done to it, it has this done to it, and it makes like this much power. But that's not really a good answer. If you don't know what's done to your car, I wouldn't have bought the car, you know, personally. I need to see receipts. I need to see a video or something of it being installed, you know. I need to see proof. So that's a good one, though, because, yeah, there are people out there that buy a car that's, like, pre-modified or whatever, and they have no idea what's going on with it. They're just like, yeah, it's got a stage 2 tune, you know. So, yeah, it's pretty quick. But, yeah, it's pretty bad. Don't buy a car if you don't know what's done to it. Anyways, we'll continue this in part 2. Well, technically part 3 because we've already made one of these. You get what I'm saying. I hope you guys enjoyed this rant. I don't want to waste your guys' time too much longer, so I will see you guys in the next rant. Deuces.